They don't see the human being. They just see a server. And I know this is very cynical and heavy, and I don't know how true it is as far as like how the average person feels. I'm just saying, being on the other side, that's how it comes across a lot of the time. That's how it feels. And yeah, no, it sucks, man. It sucks to feel that way, to be treated that way. But what can you do? You know, what can you do, really? That's the job. I don't know that it will ever change. I think that's the reality of customer service. I'm really trying to like find positives here, but it's difficult to do that, to be honest. It's difficult because I look at everything I've dealt with over 11 years of working in these sorts of jobs, and all the similarities between all the jobs are very clear. And when it comes to the people side of things, I think a lot of these customers just don't appreciate you and what you're actually doing for them. They think it's easy. They think it's, you know, you're being unreasonable a lot of the time when you're not. A lot of the time you are just trying to find a solution to their problems, or you're just trying to help them. But it almost feels like they don't want to be helped. But I guess the biggest point I want to make with this is that it takes a lot of energy to do a job like this, physically, mentally, spiritually, and you often come home and you're exhausted. Like, there are so many days when I've just not been able to do things, not been able to hang out with friends, not be able to get my stuff done because I'm so mentally, physically, and emotionally drained from having to show up to this job, having to show up to these sorts of jobs. You know, and it's not even the irony of it is it's never the work itself. I never get really tired from serving or any of that. It's always the people that drain my energy with their ridiculousness. Which kind of brings me on to the final question for this this section and for this show today. What's the burnout like, and how do you cope with it? So I've been lucky that I've never experienced full burnout. I've been close. I think this year really tested me in a way that I never thought I would reach that point where I felt like I might burn out. What I've understood about people that experience it a lot of the time is that they know it's going to happen. They allow it to happen, not like in a self-sabotage way, but because they don't see an alternative. And they've kind of weighed it up in their mind, and they're like, okay, rather than trying to either quit or take a holiday now, I need to push through to a certain point, burn out, and then recover and repeat the process. And it's like, I get what they're saying, but there's like serious risks to doing that, because you might burn out and like not be able to recover. You know, you're not supposed to burn out. It's not a normal human feeling, you know. That's my biggest concern with this. You're not supposed to burn out. You're supposed to rest. When you start feeling it's all too much, you're supposed to rest. But there's such pressure from this type of job that, you know, it often doesn't feel like there is any time to rest, or it feels like maybe there's not going to be a chance, an opportunity to rest anytime soon, or maybe there's too much pressure from the company itself, your managers, something like that. Maybe there's just not enough reliable people working at said venue, and they call on you because you're more reliable than, you know, the guy that only works weekends, like. Or maybe the people that only work weekends, or the students, or whoever else is there part-time, etc. Maybe they're just not as trustworthy. You know, there's all these different factors, and it can often lead to you getting used, but then a lot of the time you're just trying to do your best. Or, you know, if it's like your career, or if it's, you know, just something that you really need to keep hold of, there might be like a fear in your mind of like, oh, I got to do this so I don't lose this job, and you know, I have to do all this because I don't feel I can say no. And like, sometimes people will use that to their advantage in spite of you. And I had to learn over the years to fight against that. But I don't know, my advice in general for dealing with feeling that way is there are jobs out there customer service included, that won't push you to the point of burnout, right? There are well-staffed teams, there are efficient teams, there are companies that do care, restaurants, supermarkets, bars, etc., that do take care of their staff.